Kimberly knows that my PhD research had to do with the causes of and correlations between marital satisfaction and sexual satisfaction. Kimberly, we know that there's a consensus worldwide with marriage therapists, counselors, and et cetera, that those two things are related, right?
Sure. Yes, absolutely.
Why do you think?
Well, I think because of a couple of reasons. So first of all, sex is the most intimate form of love and should only happen, according to my beliefs and values, between a husband and a wife. And so when that's the only place that can occur, if it's not occurring, it can leave you open to a lot of temptation to seek it from somewhere else, which would not be good for the marriage. But also because it is the kind of highest form of showing that kind of love, it is if you feel like you are not receiving it, it can feel like you're being rejected, that you're not good enough. And it can cause problems on the marital side if that's happening. Mm-hmm.
And so we don't know actually which one happens first. We just know that they're definitely correlated. Mm-hmm. And so there have been a lot of studies, including mine, trying to find out, well, is it the marital satisfaction that affects the sexual satisfaction, or is it the sexual satisfaction that affects the marital satisfaction? And we found out, yes.
Yes.
We can't really say which one is the causality. We know that there's definitely a correlation and that they do rise and fall together. Now, Kimberly, sometimes in marriage, we talk about pushes and pulls. And we call pulls anything that you do that evokes positive emotions within the other person. We say pushes are those things you do that evoke negative emotions within the other person. And therefore, when we talk about pushes, we also talk about sometimes there are things that you don't do, but the fact that you're not doing them, you're evoking negative emotions within the other person. And so I don't know how many times over the years I've heard either a husband or a wife, it's not always the guy, it can be one or the other, where that one of them is saying, I'm very unfulfilled in my marriage and my spouse is evoking negative emotions within me because he or she is not wanting to be involved with me sexually. Can you see then that it can actually be a push because somebody doesn't do something?
Yeah, I can see how it can push you away for sure. Yes, absolutely. If there's not the sexual connection happening, then like I said before, it can lead one or both people to begin to push out of the marriage. I'm still trying to use the PUSH acronym, but I don't know that it's perfectly aligning here.
Well, the push, the fact that they're having these negative emotions may lead them to try to find something that's going to be evoking positive emotions when it comes to sex, which could be pornography. They get into that. And no, don't jump on me immediately and say, oh, you're saying that all porn addiction is the fault of the other spouse. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying if there is no sex in the marriage, that could lead a person, that push, that evoked negative emotion could lead a person toward pornography, trying to find a positive emotion when it comes to sex. It could involve them beginning to do things on the internet like chat sexually with other people, or it might lead them to actually having a full-fledged affair with somebody else. No, I'm not justifying any of those things. Please make sure you hear that. I'm not justifying it. But if that negative emotion is being evoked, then those possibilities now occur. Correct?
Yes, that's correct. I got stuck because I have a question that may take us off, but I think it's an important question. So at the rate at which people, especially men, but also women, are first seeing pornography, over 90% of people getting married now, at least the man, has already watched pornography. You said, though, they may begin to watch it if negative emotions begin in the marriage. What if they're already watching it?
Okay, then they may go back to it. That's a good
What if
point.
they're already watching it? Like, what if it's part of their normal sex life?
That becomes a difficulty right there. By the way, 40% of porn users are female. 40%. And so it's not just a masculine or a male thing. It is more common in men, but it's also very common in women. And what is happening when that occurs is that people are getting wired in such a way that it can't possibly be fulfilled. A few years ago in the World Congress of Sexual Health, when they were having a meeting in Sydney, Australia, I was there, and one of the lecturers in that worldwide Congress of sexual students people who are sexologists, I guess I should say, they were talking about the fact that the sexual expectations that are being set up by pornography are going to make it where that marriage at some point will cease to exist. Mm-hmm. And their logic was this, because they're being programmed to think that you should have several sexual partners, and that whatever sexual partner you have should be ready at any moment, anytime, anywhere to do anything that you want and to be excited about it at the same time, that there's no way that is going to be fulfilled in celibate, not celibate.
Monogamous.
Monogamous. Mm-hmm. I went bad on the word there. But a monogamous relationship is never going to be able to fulfill that. And therefore, they were arguing that if we continue to educate the world, and in the world, the number one method of sex education is internet pornography, that eventually is going to destroy marriage. Now, I'm very pro-marriage. And I sat there thinking, I can't argue against that.
You know what? I heard two people having a conversation about this on a podcast a couple months ago, and they have said that now, because of pornography, people are becoming, they didn't say asexual, but basically because people are lacking connection with others, they're not dating as much, they're not having the in-person encounters as much, and pornography is so rampant that person-to-person sex is going to decrease. So we're not even talking about marriage. Like, they can't even get to the point of marriage, and they're so scared to approach someone of the opposite sex in order to ask them out or have a real relationship that that's a new concern about the future.
And that's becoming more and more evident as we go along.